So here's your Unit 2 review. Unit 2 was linear systems, which was basically taking two lines and determining where they intersect. So let's start by looking at these graphically. When your equation is in y equals mx plus b form, the b is the y-intercept, and that's what these values are. That's where you start on the y-axis. The m is the slope, and that's the number in front of the x. So that's what those numbers are. And what you want to remember is slope is rise over run. So the first line has a y-intercept of 6. So we're going to start up here at 6. And has a slope of 2. So if the slope is -2, that's actually -2 over 1. So that means you're going to go down 2 and to the right 1. So down 2 to the right 1. There's your second point. And then you're going to draw a line going through those 2 points. Right, like that. All right, so that was the first line. If you're going to include more than one line, you need to label them. So that is y equals -2x plus 6. The second line is got a slope of -3 over 2. So we're going to go down 3 and to the right 2, but we're going to start at 5. So down 3 to the right 2. So those are the 2 points your graph is going to pass through. And that also makes it very obvious where they intersect. They intersect right here at the point 2, 2. So therefore, the point of intersection or you can call it POI, is 2, 2. So that's how you determine the point of intersection from graphing. The next question is you're going to have to be able to solve for the point of intersection of the two lines using either substitution or elimination. I'm going to show you both, just in case you like one and somebody else likes the other, but you're only going to have to do it one way. So here we are. Let's start with substitution. With substitution, what you want to do is you want to find a value, or sorry, a variable that has no number in front of it. So that's going to be this y here. So you're going to take equation 1 and you're going to isolate y, which means you have to subtract 2x from both sides. So y equals -2x plus 6. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're going to substitute it into the y of the other equation. So instead of 2 times y, it's going to be 2 times -2x plus 6. So this was equation 1, if that's equation 1. So now we're going to take equation 2, and it's going to be 3x plus 2 times y, which is now negative 2x plus 6, and that equals 10. Let's solve this equation. Distributive law. And 3x minus 4x is negative 1x, or just negative x. And we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. So 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 1, and that gives you x is equal to 2. To figure out the y, we're going to go back to equation 1, and we're going to substitute that 2 into the x. So that is negative 4 plus 6, which is positive 2. So therefore, the point of intersection is 2, 2. That's a coincidence that it's the same point of intersection as the one above. It wasn't meant to be. All right, and now we're going to look at elimination over here. There's different ways of doing elimination. What some people will do is, the basic idea is that you have to get the coefficients of the x to match or the coefficients of the y to match. So what we can do is we can take this equation and multiply it by 3, and we can take this equation and multiply it by 2, because then it will make the x's 6, and it will make the x's here 6, and then you'll be able to eliminate the x's. So one rule of thumb is that basically you take the first equation, multiply it by the coefficient of the second. You take the second equation and multiply it by the coefficient of the first. So that becomes 6x. Don't forget to multiply everything by 3. And in the second equation, multiply everything by 2. And now we're going to subtract the two equations, because then 6 minus 6x is 0. 3y minus 4y is negative 1y. 18 minus 20 is negative 2. Then divide both sides by negative 1. Y is equal to 2. That's what we got over here. Now what we can do is substitute that into either equation 1 or equation 2 and solve for the x. So instead of y, we're going to write 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 2. So there's your point of intersection. So there's your knowledge types of questions, solving for the point of intersection, substitution, elimination, or graphing. What you'll also end up having are word problems. Everybody's favorite. So remember our cubes. The first thing is to circle what we know. A landscaping company placed 2 orders with a nursery. The first order was for 13 bushes and 4 trees and totaled $487. That's what's going to make up our first equation. The second order was for 6 bushes and 2 trees and totaled $232. That's what's going to make up our second question. The U is to underline the question. What were the costs for 1 bush and 1 tree? This is what leads to your let statements. So we're going to say let x represent the cost of a bush And let's let y represent the cost of a tree. So this is part of the brainstorming part. So we are going to be using making let statements, making two equations using our two sentences, and then we're going to be using either substitution or elimination. So now we have to evaluate all that and do all of that work. So 13 bushes, so we have 13 bushes, but then you have to multiply it by the price of a bush, plus 4 trees, multiply it by the price of a tree, equals a total of $487. 6 bushes, so 6 times the price of a bush, plus 2 trees, 2 times the price of a tree, totals $232. So from this point on, what you would do is use substitution or elimination. So take a minute, pause the video, take a minute, solve that using substitution or elimination, then come back to the video to check your answers. Okay, you can take a minute to pause to check the answers here. Then you have your mixture questions. Coffee that sells for $3.60 per kilogram is blended with coffee that sells for $2.40 per kilogram to make a 2 kilograms of coffee that sells for 270 kilograms. How much of each type of coffee was used? So let X be the amount of the $3.60 coffee, and let Y be the amount of the $2.40 coffee. And with mixture problems, one equation is always the amount of the first type of coffee plus the amount of the second type of coffee makes 2 kilograms of coffee. The second equation brings in the mixture. So $3.60 times the amount of that coffee plus $2.40 times the amount of that coffee is equal to $2.70 times the amount of that coffee, which is 2 kilograms. So again, use substitution or elimination, press pause, solve this equation, and then come back to the video to check your answer. So press pause now. Okay, welcome back to the video. I decided to use substitution for this equation because it was really easy to rearrange or isolate this equation for x. You can press pause and check your answer. One thing I wanted to say about this question is rather than multiplying the first equation by 6 and the second equation by 13 to make the x's match, I thought to keep my numbers smaller, I would just keep this equation at 4 and multiply this equation by 2 to make this 4y to eliminate the y's, which you could have also done with this question. Instead of multiplying this by 3 and this by 2, you could have just multiplied the first equation by 2 so that your y's would match and then eliminate your y's. It's whatever is easier for you. So if any of this didn't make sense, please make note of it and ask your teacher during the next class. Thank you. Bye-bye.